Hello, welcome back to Art Practice ASMR. In this video, I'm going to be giving some anime recommendations. Recently, I've been trying to learn how to draw anime, and as you can see, I am nowhere close to being good yet. But the results are still kind of funny, so I've got that going for me. In this video, I'm going to be recommending some underrated anime that have under 1,000 viewers on my anime list. And for each recommendation, I am going to draw the main character, or one of the main characters, from each series. I hope you like this video, and I hope you check out these anime that I recommend. The first show that I'm going to recommend is a 12-episode sci-fi supernatural comedy called Punchline. Punchline follows a main character named Yuta, who has his soul separated from his body after an encounter with a superhero. While his soul is separated, he decides to haunt his old apartment building, and while he's there, he discovers that his body is being controlled by someone else's soul. So he decides to unravel the mystery of what's going on with his body and what's going on with his apartment building. This show is a very good show if you like sakuga and hand-to-hand fight scenes, because this show has a lot of that. It is brilliantly animated and very stylistic, and it's also tonally similar to another series called Fooly Cooly, and I must not have been the only one to notice that, because the director of Punchline went on to direct either Fooly Cooly Alternative or Fooly Cooly Progressive. I really enjoyed watching Punchline, and it is currently one of my top 10 favorite anime, as are the other two shows on this list. But the thing about Punchline that makes it really hard to recommend to other people is that even though it is a sci-fi supernatural comedy, it is also in the ecchi genre of anime. And if you don't know what ecchi means, it is basically animated softcore porn. I completely understand why you would be put off by an ecchi show. They aren't known for having good writing or good animation, and with the exception of a few, they're usually just softcore porn with a vague plot. But Punchline is not at all like the others. It is only technically an ecchi show because of the main character's mechanic for getting his superpowers. Because he only activates his powers when he sees a girl's panties. And that might sound like a vague porn plot, but I swear, it is well done. And the panty shots are not gratuitous, and they are tastefully done in ways that are not degrading to the women of the show. Honestly, this show has a very strong female cast, and it even deals with serious issues like gender identity and how you're perceived by other people. This show deals with adolescent topics and adult topics in ways that are meaningful and heartwarming, and a lot of the time hilarious. But you only get to see those if you look past the facade of being an ecchi show. And that's really why the show is so underrated, is because a lot of people couldn't do that. Not a lot of people watch this show because right off the bat it was labeled as being ecchi. And a lot of the people who did watch this show gave it poor reviews because they couldn't get past the fact that this show can be sexy but not gross and perverted, and that it can be sexual but not crude. Or a lot of people couldn't get past the fact that a show that had a bunch of panty shots in each episode was somehow able to deliver a plot that was heartwarming, funny, dramatic, and even really sad at times. And it sucks that people couldn't get past all that, because people who could ended up getting a show that clearly had a lot of care put into it. And it feels like this show is so underrated, and the staff didn't get the praise that they deserved on it. But that seems to be a case with a lot of anime fans. Only in anime would you ever hear the phrase, "This show is great, but you have to get past all the nudity." Not that Punchline has nudity, but there are other great shows that people are just passing because they think that nudity automatically makes it bad. But you would say that with an anime, but you wouldn't assume that a movie would be bad if it has nudity in it, or a TV show like Game of Thrones. And I think that that's a really weird double standard that nobody really thinks about. And I guess people only do it because it's animated, and because it's from Japan, which is stereotypically known for being weird. Speaking of weirdness, here's the next show. This next show is called Senyu. It is a fantasy action comedy that has 26 episodes. Each episode is 4 minutes long, so you can really breeze through the show in one sitting. The show follows 2 adventurers. One is a new adventurer named Alba, and the other is a seasoned adventurer named Ross. Ross is there to protect Alba, but he is secretly sadistic and sarcastic, so he never really does what he's told. The show is very fast-paced and quick-witted, but you always feel satisfied enough after each episode, but you still want a little bit more after each one ends. The show has comedy that can satisfy anyone. It has a lot of sarcasm, a lot of ridiculous non sequiturs. It even has a lot of referential parody humor. This show is very similar to Konosuba, so if you enjoyed Konosuba, then I absolutely recommend Senyu. They are very similar in tone and comedic stylings, so if you enjoyed Kazuma's sarcastic personality and his interactions with his really weird party, then I absolutely recommend Senyu. Senyu and Konosuba are similar in other ways. Like, for comedy parody, they both have very, very well done fantasy worlds. And you wouldn't expect there to be a lot of world building in a show that's only 4 minutes long. But surprisingly, there is a lot jammed in there. The Senyu anime aired in 2013, and the anime source material was a webcomic that started publishing in 2014. starts off as a normal comedy, but eventually evolves into a semi-serious fantasy adventure. And that's one of the things that I like about the show, is it can always turn on a dime and become a dramatic show, but always be open to switch back into a joke. And I think that's something that the show does really well, is its oddly well-working dramatic parts. I really didn't expect the show to sort of take a dramatic route at near the finales of the first and second season, and I was pleasantly surprised. Unfortunately, Senyu never had a third season, so if you want to finish it, you have to read the webcomic. And if you don't like the design of the webcomic, there is actually a manga that is a retelling and redrawing of the entire webcomic, and I haven't read it, but it is supposed to be pretty good. The comics also have a prequel that explains certain things in the universe about certain characters. I haven't read those either, but they are on my plan to read list. And like I said, this is a show that is instantly placed on my top 10 favorite anime list. I really enjoyed how it was done, and I think the only thing that made this show so underrated is just the fact that nobody knew it existed. It came out in a time when I think Sword Art Online was on, so everyone was drawn to that, and nobody was drawn to this. And that really sucks. But now you know this exists, so give it a watch. I bet you won't regret it. The final show that I will be talking about is actually a series that came out in 2018, so it is very recent, and nobody watched it. And that's kind of a tragedy, because it was my personal favorite show of this year. This show is called Planet With, and it is a sci-fi mecha action show. It follows a boy named Soya who has no memories of what happened before he entered high school. All he knows is that he is now in the care of a green-haired girl wearing a maid outfit and a giant cat man. This show is ridiculous and heartwarming and meaningful all rolled into a ball. And it is so sad that nobody watched this series, because it is very ambitious, and that word gets thrown around a lot, but I really think that this show deserves to be called ambitious. And this show has so much that I like about it, but I feel like explaining a lot of the things I enjoyed would be counted as spoilers. So everybody just watch this show right now. It's called Planet With, and you can watch it on Crunchyroll. And it's just fantastic. Not to hype it up too much, because it has a very simple yet complex plot at the same time. Complex meaning it has a lot of moving parts, but it's still very simple to understand. Two things that aren't spoilers for the show are: the show is interesting in the fact that it's sort of a Power Rangers style show, where the main character is the Green Ranger. So he is basically the villain to the series equivalent of Power Rangers. And I thought that was very interesting. Another surprising thing that I didn't expect is that this show has a lot of parallels with my number one favorite series, Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I don't think I can give any plot points that are similar, but there's a lot of secret organization, secret battle stuff going on, and I think it was very well done in this show. This show felt like Evangelion if Eva was way more lighthearted and had a happy ending, and a lot less convoluted than Eva is. I really enjoyed Planet With, as well as all the other shows on this list, and I hope at least one of them appealed to you, and I hope you give them a watch. Actually, if you try out any of these shows that I recommended, leave it in the comments, and I'll give you a like, or a favorite, or whatever I do. Anyway, the video is coming to an end, so watch those shows, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope you have a good night's rest, or a relaxing day, whatever you're doing. Thanks for watching.